the dirt on Tulsa. You got it. Good morning, good afternoon. Tulsa Music Stream here. I am your host, Scott Squires. This is 9, and that is Jana, and
Hello.
We are so grateful to be with you guys here on NFL Sunday. That is October
Recording in progress.
10th.
We have our NFL Sunday best on too.
Right,
So
and we got Red Zone on, so we, keeping up with everything.
you can't see it, but the game is right there.
It's true.
Yeah. So let's thank everybody.
Vincent, Leo, Charlie.
Hey,
Hey.
the cats joined us
I'm glad
today.
I'm glad they're here. What's
That-
up, Jamie Hooper, Tracy Long, Mama Gay, Teresa Gaddy's in the house.
Yeah.
Sup, girl?
Hey,
Yeah. Stacy
Lundgren. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, guys. Make sure you share and our page or the stream on your pages, your favorite groups, and your favorite, what do you call those? You got your groups, you got your pages. What else you have?
I think that's it. I think you covered it.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Well, you can also stream us on Twitter, and you can also stream us on YouTube, and make sure you hit subscribe on YouTube. That would really be grateful on that one as well. So
Yes.
we have a great show for you guys tonight. We have Erik Ferentinos, the guitar player for Stephen Pearcy.
Yeah.
He's does a lot. He does a lot of work with Stephen as far as like recording, writing, engineering. He's just a master of his craft.
He
and so
is.
it's
Yeah.
going to be incredible conversation with him today, and we are looking forward to it. So what's up, Jana?
Well, like you said, awesome show coming up. We're so excited. Erik's been such a nice guy to deal with in setting up this interview. He had a show last night. We can't wait to ask him about that and learn more about his history and background. After our interview with Erik, we're going to do a recap of Tulsa Music Stream and its origin and how it started here. This is our last episode here at this location. We're going to be moving in a couple weeks, and a little bit bittersweet. We're excited about the future. We've got good stuff coming up, but man, we made some special memories here. This we're going to go back through some fun screenshots of previous episodes and talk a little bit about how we got the start and how special it's been and how it's grown. You can see the growth just in the screenshots. It's pretty funny.
We are going to go through the park reminiscing.
We are, and we like to do that. We definitely like to do that. Mr. Ferentinos is waiting in the room, so I'm going to work on getting him in here.
So I wonder what it's like to be in the green room on Zoom.
Yeah, that's a good question. I've never done that.
They have cake and
It's probably pretty
Cake
special.
and bottled Evian water.
Right.
chocolate.
true.
Is it Evian?
Yeah.
Evian?
Okay. Hi, Erik. Can you... Okay, he's connecting to audio. We see your picture. We are... How you doing, bud?
What's happening, everybody?
Hey,
Man, it's great to see you. Can you hear
Thanks.
everything okay?
So far, so good. I'm
Excellent.
making my own adjustments here on the fly.
Yeah, you do your thing and get comfortable there. Well, we have so much to dive into with you, not only to learn about your history and your current goings on, but we have to know, how was last night's show? We know you guys were at it was the SoCal Bike Festival at Lake Elsinore, California. Looks like from the pictures and the posts we saw, it was pretty off the chain. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was like a weird dream, in the sense that it was a big venue. It was a baseball stadium, but they weren't like allowing people on the grass. So we were really playing for people up in the low drafters area.
Okay.
So it was kind of weird. It was like we couldn't really see anybody. People were starting to come on the field, and like we'd be playing a song, lack of communication. Please get off the field. Stay off the
wow.
That's great.
You'd hear that chiming in. But it was fun just to play with the guys. It was a fun show. We opened for Warrant and got to say hi to Robbie Crane, who's filling in with the band.
Right.
Right on.
And so that was cool. And yeah, no, it was just a good gig.
Very good.
Not too much else to tell about it.
Right.
You know, we have a little story about Robbie Crane. He was not too long ago. They did the farewell to the IDL Ballroom here in Tulsa. It's a venue where a lot of bands would come and play. And I guess he was like in St. Louis or something like that, and he had to like take an Uber.
He missed his flight.
He missed his flight
Right.
or something like that, or it got canceled, and so he had to take an Uber all the way from St. Louis to Tulsa. And I think it cost like $500 Uber ride.
Right.
I'm surprised the driver even did it.
I know.
No
I know.
kidding.
It's amazing. Well, and just to kind of circle back to the show, you guys had a pretty busy summer and fall. It looked, you guys did Rocklahoma, and I hope that was as fun for you as it was for us. You guys went down to Texas, and I guess the leg ended in New York. And then you've also got, I want to put this up here on the screen, November 11th, you guys are going to be playing with Vince Neil at the, is that pronounced Pippa, or is it just PIPA Event Center? I'm not sure how to say that.
I think it is Pippa.
Okay.
Scotty Pippa.
Scotty Pippa.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Yeah, he's an awesome player. So tell us a little bit about that.
Pipa. Like
Pipa.
smoke the
Yeah,
pipe.
there you
Yeah,
go.
now you're talking.
The Pipa. So you got that show coming up. Do you guys do a lot of stuff with Vince, or is this just kind of a rare show?
It's not the first time that but it's been a long time. I mean, the last time I think we played with Vince was around like 2004 or something like that.
Wow.
So it's been a good amount of time, but it's awesome because they have such a history together from the Sunset Strip.
Sure.
Yeah.
God, the stories those two guys could tell. Wow.
Right. They were both house bands at Gazzari's. Wow. So back in the early 80s, they would play like 2 shows a night up there. Be like Motley and Rat. So if you were up in that local area there, you were definitely going to see those shows.
God, that would, to have been there. I saw in the Stephen Pearcy documentary you were talking about you would go see them as an underage kid, see Rat play. So that's kind of cool.
Well, I was fortunate, as I've said many times that I've known him since I was 15, and he moved in across the street from my family back then. And so he was always cool and hooked me up. So I had been seeing Rat with the original guys back in the late 80s till, the early 90s when Steven started.
So his family moved in across the street from you in where, San Diego?
Yeah, Carlsbad.
I know exactly where it is. I'm a San Diego native myself. I'm from Coronado.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it was, La Costa to be exact. But, yeah, it was around, I think, 87, end of 87. He had bought this house across the street. And my mom was like, hey, do you know who Rat is? And, of course, being a Headbangers Ball young kid, of course, I told her I knew who Rat was. She's like, well, the singer just moved in across the street. Don't tell anybody.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow. What? So it was an exciting time, just kind of aligning myself to meet with him back then. And I remember when you'd be walking his dog or anything like that, I would take my little amp, and I did start playing guitar at that time. That was like the first year I started playing when I was 15. And of course I had a whammy bar and all this. And I remember I would put my amp in the window and just turn it up and just do crazy dive bombs to get his attention.
Wow.
He'd be like, cool. What the hell is going on over there? And then shortly after, I had bands that would be playing in the garage, and he would get a kick out of hearing that. And I would be like,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm going to make it, man. I'm going to make it someday. Right. And he was cool. He kind of produced me in the beginning, like whatever bands I had. He helped pay for some recordings and things, and he was definitely, helping to promote my bands back then.
Wow, what a really special
That's
connection.
pretty cool for him to like start supporting, his neighbor and everything that you're doing back then. Now what solo band was that of you? Was that Anti-Division or I guess that would be...
it was a band called Voodoo.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, the very early 90s, it was his name that got us at least. We were like, hey, we're being managed by Stephen Pearcy. You got a gig, or you got to play it. And then shortly after, it's Rock 105.3 now, but they used to be Rock 102.1. And at that time, they brought us on as on the local hour to play our music, and then that springboarded into getting on regular rotation. So we were like a big fish in a small pond, Voodoo. And we actually back then sold about 5,000 records just in San Diego.
Wow.
But nobody ever heard of us outside of San Diego, but we would be on the radio here, and we'd play with all the national acts that came through. I remember we got to open for Arcade at a New Year's Eve gig, which was Steven's band. He did After Rat
with Fred Curry.
I remember that was pretty awesome because he was actually cool enough to let me come on stage with them when they played Round and Round, and he gave me his Les Paul to put on, his a white Les Paul.
Wow.
And I remember that was like one of the bigger gigs I had done at the time, and it was cool. And Frankie, of course, in the band, Frank Wilsey, which I always thought him and Donnie were so cool in Arcade. They just had that classic rock look, and you could tell they were rock stars,
Right.
Wow.
I was kind of I was a schlubby, 90s guy with the flannel and the
combat boots.
Yeah, totally. I still wear combat boots.
Yeah.
Right on.
But I shopped at thrift stores and stuff, and these guys actually wore like rock star clothes, and I remember being in the elevator after that show and seeing Frankie and Donnie, and I was pretty intimidated, actually. I was like, it was like being in the elevator with Aerosmith or something.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I looked at myself and I'm like, I look like a schlub, and these guys are so cool looking. But flash forward, I've got to play with Frankie for almost 20 years, and it's been so fun. And we are kind of different, but it somehow it works. And even as people, we're a little bit different, but we still enjoy hanging out. We always have a similar sense of humor and enjoy each other's company and stuff.
Nice.
So having those guys, sort of put you under their wing, there had to be a point where you're like, hey, that's really cool. These guys are, helping us and guiding us and kind of showing us, the streamline to rock and roll. And then suddenly you get this, call to actually play with Steven. I bet that had to have been like, mind blowing for you.
It was, funny enough, and I believe it was like 2000, the beginning of 2000, he had said to me, hey, I'm going to start a band, and it's going to be called Nitronic, and I'm going to go out there and play. Do you want to play? And at the time, I was playing in a band called 13A, which was had members of Asphalt Ballet. If you ever
sure.
Yeah.
It had Jay and Mick from Asphalt were in the band, and it was kind of a heavy version. The singer went on to play in Temple of Brutality with Dave Elfson later, but we were winning like battles of the bands, and I was a loyal guy, back then. Even though this opportunity came up, we had already put a couple years together into trying to make it, as an original band. And I remember at the time, I just didn't know I had never been on tour, and Steven's talking about this Nitronic thing. And I remember thinking, I was about like 25 or 6 at the time, and I go, how's anybody going to know that's Steven? The connection. I'm like, this could be a total disaster, and I don't know if I want to get stuck out there, or whatever. And I remember I kind of went, I'm busy, and I kind of blew it off, which was totally stupid of me. It was stupid because the band that ended up, the singer moved away shortly after, and it was like, wow, I would have like totally blown the biggest opportunity of my life. But fortunately, the guitar player that he had, there was some issue going on, and I caught wind of it. He was like, I may need you out here, like start working on the songs. And then about a week later, he's like, okay, I definitely need you out here. And the band was they were already on the road, and their next show was in Chicago or something like that. And I basically was flown out there, no rehearsals. I don't even think we got more than a line check, and I just had to go out there and play.
Wow.
But I got
thrown
through
to the
it,
wolves.
Thrown to the wolves, exactly. And this was before YouTube and Facebook and all that. So I was online trying to find like tabs of the songs. And, I hadn't been really like doing much shreddy guitar stuff because I had just come out of the 90s where
It wasn't cool, right?
it wasn't cool. Like in fact, like labels, to my recollection, were like, is the band playing guitar solos? They are. We don't want them.
Right.
Damn.
They would have a checklist of things they didn't want. And the grunge bands, if they played a solo, it had to be like affected pentatonic
Right.
scale, simple bluesy.
Or just a melody line like Kurt Cobain.
It was
Right.
that was a dark period, man.
It was a dark
I
period.
hated it. I hated it.
I
Thank
liked it.
you.
It was good. I liked it. I was an Alice in Chains guy, big time, and a Nirvana guy. But I came back to where I started, I guess.
Yeah, Eric,
Well,
the
I
reason
agree.
The reason why they say it's dark though is because they're guitar players who like to play solos.
Right. Yeah, I
You're-
started playing when I was
That's
12.
true. That's
See,
true.
my story's like kind of very similar. I started playing when I was 12, and just when I started getting good at solos, well, man, damn you if you're playing them, because it just was not accepted, except for guys like Dimebag. He got away with it, and Jerry Cantrell a little bit, but yeah, I want to lead into this next question now that we're talking about guitar solos. I got really excited when I read that some of your main influences are, of course, Eddie Van Halen, George Lynch, and Jakey Lee. George and Jake are two of my biggest influence. George is my biggest influence, but Jakey Lee also. Tell me what about those three guys just that you fell in love with.
I think it was more probably the timing back then, like because around when I was 15, I think that's when Jake was playing in Ozzy's band, and the friend of mine, Ray, that lived in the neighborhood, that was also just starting to play guitar at that time. He had like the Ozzy tapes and stuff, and he was playing me some of that music at the time. And what was it? Bark at the Moon.
Right,
Yes.
right.
No,
And
was it? Yeah,
Ultimate Sin.
Yeah. Ultimate Sin. It was the Ultimate Sin record. And I remember hearing it. It was just so cool and heavy metal. And we were like, that magical time of playing guitar when you're just learning how to play these awesome songs. And you're like, oh my God, I'm playing it. And it was, those were good memories back then. So it was just timing that he happened to be in the hip Ozzy band as the guitar player at the time. I got exposed to him through my friend. And of course, the videos, MTV videos.
Now, being
but his playing was great.
he was from San Diego too. Did you know him at all prior to Jakey Lee?
No, I didn't. I mean, I've learned about that connection more
Gotcha.
through the years of hearing stuff. And I know, like, for example, Warren DeMartini was, I believe, roommates with Jake
Right.
Yeah.
back then. And that's how, because Jake initially played in Mickey Rat
Right.
with Steven, and maybe even when they changed to Rat.
Mm-hmm.
But I recall he got the gig in Ozzy, and at that time, he to help Rat out, he said, "Hey, take my roommate Warren. He's young, but he's a shredder." And at the time, I think Warren was probably only 17.
Wow.
He hadn't even finished high school yet, or he might have been 18. And so that was how Warren got his break. But it's all connected, like the West Coast shredder guitar players here from Southern California.
Warren and George Lynch have that weird style of picking. They have that open. Both of them play with that open hand kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah, they have like more pull off kind of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Slidey pull off than so much. Jake was more. He picked a lot of things.
Yes.
I think more than Warren and George. But yeah, all their guitar playing at the time was kind of a fresh, different approach.
Yep.
Especially George Lynch and Jake. So that was just exciting. As you guys know, you're my age. That was just exciting times, and they were flashy looking dudes, and they made it look so fun and awesome.
Sure.
And
Absolutely.
I was
we're gonna talk a lot about Smash and A View to a Thrill, which I guess you have that album cover right behind you. Which
That's right.
I love those two albums. I can listen to those any day of the week. It doesn't matter. Every one of those, both those albums to me are just amazing. I love the craft that you guys, especially you did a lot of engineering, I guess, on there and writing. You wrote a bunch of songs on there, which was pretty awesome. And you joined Stephen Pearcy, and then all of a sudden he kind of lets you just kind of, give out your expertise,
take the reins
of this band, and I mean that had to be really, really cool for him, for you to go, wow, you're letting me bring in my own songs and kind of do some arrangements and all sorts of stuff.
He always was cool. I mean, even going back to the 90s, I recall him in the late 90s having me come up to write some songs with him, basically, which some of them ended up on his like compilation of demos type records that he's done. Before and Laughter comes to mind. There's some of them showed up on there and that was the first time I met Matt Thorne from Rough Cut,
right?
Mostly know from Rough Cut.
He's also from San Diego.
He is also from San Diego.
That's a lot of San Diego people. I'm a proud San Diegan, so I that's all cool with me.
Well, I'm going to try to stay living here as long as I can until rent hits $1 million.
So you're still there. Wow, cool.
Right.
That's awesome.
I live in Oceanside, North County.
Yeah, I was born in Balboa Hospital, man.
Sweet.
Crazy.
Now, are you a Chargers fan? Now that they moved to LA?
I not since like I was never really a sports fan, to be honest.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, after 1994, when Chargers lost the Super Bowl, I think it was just kind of dark from then on.
We've known nothing but 2 World Series with the Padres and both losses, and 1 Super Bowl and loss for the Chargers.
Yeah, I've never been too into sports, but on your point earlier about the Stephen having me play. He always was open to doing demos and things, but over the years, I've given him lots of material. And what was funny about Smash is when he finally got the deal through Frontiers, he had sandbagged all these songs I had given him over the years. So some of them, Jamie and these other songs, he had been sitting on for like almost a decade. And then he just whipped them out when it came time to record the record. I was like, this one? Oh, I was like, oh, wow, that's an old idea. Okay.
Do I still remember how to play that one?
I did have to relearn. I mean, they weren't that hard to play, to be honest.
Yeah.
But sometimes the catchier songs aren't necessarily the most complicated. Yeah, so people ended up liking it. I don't know what they were going to think of it. But it was awesome that he actually got a legit budget to do at least the 2 records through Frontiers, and that's what gave us the money to be able to go into Matt's place and get a good quality recordings for it. And yeah, I did help him write it, all the material. I did all the music, and then he writes most of his vocals and everything. So we just kind of 50-50. On there, but we're going to do it again. We're right now trying to figure out what we're going to do label wise, because he's kind of a free agent right now, but we're sitting on a ton of songs to do a third. It'll actually be his, I think, 6th solo record. So we're looking.
Wow,
it's amazing.
I'm sure it's going to be just as good as, especially the last 2. And I know you've been on earlier projects, but those last 2 albums are just phenomenal. Your guitar playing is phenomenal. You channel Robin Crosby, especially on Smash. You can it's almost like hearing Robin Crosby on a lot of stuff. And
that's a high compliment.
You fit the blend that Stephen Pearcy, when you listen to Stephen, you almost got to kind of hear that kind of Warren DeMartini, Robin stuff, and you channel him perfectly. And like we just brought up Jamie, and I just love your riff on that song, and shit, the whole album, just the way your tone and everything and your guitar sounds phenomenal.
Cool, thank you for the compliments. Well, it's not going to be worse than those. It'll be on par, and I've always tried to keep an upward trajectory with guitar playing. I didn't come out, right out. I never went to GIT or anything like that. I kind of had to learn on the run, on the fly, if you will. And I've gotten better. It's, some of the stuff has taken years to kind of actually play, to be honest. I'm not like a phenomenal guy. I'm just somebody, didn't give up and just, but I think that, on the newer songs, I definitely left room to bring the shred level up a little bit. So
Nice.
they'll definitely be hearing some cool solos on the new thing that I put my heart into, So.
Well, let me ask you this. You said Steven's a free agent, so he's kind of looking for a label. Are you guys going to go ahead and begin this recording process before he's signed to his future label, or are you going to wait until that happens?
I would like to wait, I don't, he doesn't really like to deal with the headache of distribution, and he would prefer to like almost lease out the record to these labels, like where they might maybe have it for like 5 years and then he gets back the rights to it, I think is usually
never heard of
what
that.
he works out.
That's cool.
I mean, he could technically do it, but it's complicated, because in the way the platforms are worked out, something comes out and people are putting it up on YouTube the next day. So challenging. Or you have obviously the more corporate ones, Spotify and all these ones that it's part of a subscription-based service, but certainly it's not trickling down to the artists. You know what I mean?
No.
Not at all.
I thought Frontiers was a good match or a good mix with you guys. The way they handle a lot of the old school bands and the way they throw out their albums and bring back. And a lot of their albums just sound great. So was there a fallout with Frontiers, or just something you just wanted to move away from, or maybe that's just something you can't talk about?
I wouldn't say there was a fallout. I mean, they really apparently changed their whole vibe of what they're doing. I mean, they've had more of the local keyboard, melodic, progressive sounding bands, like younger though. It's like they're trying to showcase, which isn't a bad thing at all, but I think they experimented with having a lot of the 80s guys on there, and maybe it was a headache for them. You'd have to ask them.
Right.
But, I usually like aspiring bands are more easygoing and probably don't expect as much. But I've seen some cool videos from some of their newer bands that they have. We had initially, it was a 3-record deal, and then Steven wanted to renegotiate that for some reason, which, I kind of wished we had just done it that way. But we didn't know what was coming down the road with the COVID and all this, that was. So we would have probably already had another record out if it wasn't for that. I realized that a lot of bands rushed out to do something during the lockdowns.
Right.
But I was more or less just wanting to wait, because if you can't go tour to promote it,
that's right.
Whatever, what's the point?
Right. Scott was saying that you have that guitar sound, that kind of that Robin, the sound that goes with Stephen Pearcy. But my band played with you guys at Rocklahoma, and I got to see you guys at Soundcheck, and of course Stephen wasn't there, so someone had to do the singing, and man, it sounded just like Steven. It was crazy, man. It was crazy.
It might have been me. Yeah, but,
it was.
Scott, we also have Scott Coogan.
He's a great singer.
He's great, right? He was, most recently with LA Guns, and Ace Frehley, Lita Ford. So he's certainly an asset, with vocals. That was cool to have him back. It was the first time having him back in a while when we did that run where you guys saw us at Rocklahoma, and it was a fun week. We actually drove ourselves. I rented a badass Suburban.
Wow.
Well, my favorite story from the Rocklahoma is you guys got pulled over for not having your lights on the way to the gig.
That did happen because
the cop was cool.
Yeah, I guess our bassist Jerry doesn't have a valid driver's license. And Steven's like, "Oh yeah, let's get Jerry to drive. He'll drive." And I guess there was a lack of communication there.
There you go.
There you go.
Anyways, when we left for the first gig, I was. They were going to follow me, and I think I had Frankie and Scotty with me, and we were driving to the event, which was close by the hotel. And I noticed by the first light, they had nailed those guys. But it was a trip how many cops are actually right in that area prior.
It's probably because of Rocklahoma. They probably amp it up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But
yeah, they did. There were
I'm
like
sure.
sharks in the ocean when you see shark attack.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Small town cops, man.
They're like, it's our big money making day. We're gonna bust some ass.
Yeah.
And
That's
make
right.
some money today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Man. Hey, we'll
but shout out to the cops prior though that they let those guys go. Thank you.
That's cool, man.
It would have ruined our gig, and they didn't.
We'll just keep you a few more minutes. There's a couple other things I want to ask you about. I read a recent interview with you. I don't know how recent it was, but it has to be fairly recent. But you mentioned a band, Chaotic Resemblance. Now, we know those guys. Well, we know one of the guys used to be in that band. He's from here, Stevie Shayholt. He's a friend of ours. How did you guys get to know them? Because you were pretty complimentary of them in that interview.
Okay. Those guys I first met in Las Vegas. They were opening for Pearcy when we were playing Vamped.
Okay.
Vamped Vegas. And we were like, who are these kids? They were like these super young guys. They looked like a young Skid Row or something, when we first saw them. And it was pretty amazing because they had totally like captured the angsty vibe of the late 80s.
Right.
It was just awesome that they even liked that kind of music. So you couldn't help but like them, and it was cool to have them open for us a couple times. So I think that's how I first recalled meeting them.
Very cool.
Now, I know you went from, basically like local band stuff. You're trying to get out there in San Diego and do your thing, and then you get with Steven and you start doing some things with him. What was the transition like as far as how a band is organized, locally, and then you have to go do these things with, a bigger name like Stephen Pearcy? Was it night and day for you, or
I hadn't really been anywhere else. I think the 13A band I was in, we went to Mexico or something. That was about it.
Wow.
So all of a sudden I was on this like $1 million Prevost bus, cruising down and living on a bus. It was like a lifestyle I had never been a part of, but it was so awesome. You just like party all night and then just go to sleep on the bus at 6 a.m. and then somehow you appear at the next gig. It's like you're living this rock star fantasy, and you do it every day for a couple months, and it was amazing. I remember getting off the first tour and just being so full of life and excited about what had happened, and just was hoping he was going to have me come back to do it again. And he ended up letting me hang out for another 20 years.
Hey,
that's
can't complain about that. That's
No.
a good deal right there.
With doing research on all things Erik, I've never understood when Rat was going through this period of trying to find guitar players, and recently Sanders left, and I was wondering, why isn't Erik just go in there? Because he's perfect. He sounds great with Steven. I don't understand. But after reading, I guess you were once asked to join Rat, and then it kind of got pulled from underneath you. Tell me a little bit about that.
Right. I don't know if I was asked by the band as much as, Pearcy. I was the one he was likely voting for at the time.
Okay.
But, there is politics involved with that. And I believe with this last incarnation of the band, if I heard correctly through the grapevine, I think Juan didn't want to use anybody from Steven's solo band. And so they had to decide on somebody else. So I'm not sure what Juan's connection was to the other guys. I know they did keep the drummer from Black and Blue.
Oh yeah, is that Pete?
Pete Holmes, right?
Yeah, I love the Black and Blue. They were killer.
Yeah, they were a cool band, and he's a good dude and everything. But he was the only guy that survived from the local bands of these two guys, that got to
Gotcha.
play. But I was just gonna say, that really didn't bum me out that much. I mean, I knew that I was going to continue to play for Steven. That even if they were going to try to work as much as possible for that year or two, I knew we were still going to work together, and that is a longer term employment than this
Rat,
version of Rat.
sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What-
They're going
what's-
to do a reunion. I do feel that they're going to do at some point an original guy farewell, or if you will, or
Really?
something like that. Sure. And so, I in the fan base, I think most people love Carlos Cavazo in the band. So
Yeah.
a funny story about that is I did try out for Rat. I did actually get a tryout back at the same day Carlos Cavazo joined the band.
Wow.
I was called up there, so I did get to play. It was when Robbie Crane was still a member of the band. It was like at least probably a year or two before Juan came back into the fold. But so I did get to play with Warren and Bobby and Robbie, and it was awesome. But I think they already knew they were going to be taking Carlos, so they were just kind of appeasing Steven with having me come up.
Gotcha.
Because I could tell, even though we jammed a long time, like there was other guitar players that tried out. I'm not going to name who they were, but most of them just played like one song and they were like, okay, thanks. When they played with me, they're like, oh shit. We played for like an hour.
Wow.
And went over all the songs, and then all of a sudden Carlos had shown up, and I saw Warren come up and just give him a big man hug.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, I don't have this gig.
Oh man.
But yeah,
That's
I know
tough.
what's happening here. And I was okay with that, whatever. Like I said, everything happens for a reason, as they say. And shortly after that, we ended up getting the Frontiers deal, and I got to, make these cool records with Steven, and we're going to make another one. And who knows what my role would have been in Rat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would have just been, I'm sure in most cases they're, they have the original guys, and anybody else that comes in is probably not, probably isn't going to be taken into consideration much.
Right.
It's a great opportunity, no matter if it's Steven or Rat. I mean, just probably the connections you're making are just mind blowing, out of this world. That's
I
just
bet you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's right.
And hey, I got to ask you, because I've just been enjoying this the whole time you've been talking. We are cat people, and you obviously have a cat. What is your cat's
Your
name?
cat just
That's
got
Pearcy.
This is Kylie.
Oh my gosh.
Cat out of the
She's
cellar
my
right
Jordan
there.
cat.
I love that cat. That is
He's so cool.
It's a girl, right?
Yep. Yeah. Most torties are girls. If it's a male, they're usually sterile. A little animal factoid.
Really? Did not
But
know.
I got 7 years ago,
Wow.
and she's my bud. We just live here in my apartment, and it's awesome.
So cool. Oh, I love it. I had to bring that up because she's just too cute back there. She's been arching her back and walking around the whole time you've been talking.
Now I got to prop her up a little bit here.
There we go. Let's go full
She's
screen.
kind of hard
on
to
it.
see.
There she is. What a pretty kitty. So she tolerates your crazy schedule, huh? That's so great.
That's the thing about me, is even when I would go out of town for like 2 nights, man,
That's so
Wow.
awesome, man. I love
it's
it.
like, what the hell?
Wow. She's sweet. Oh my gosh. Well, real quick, like I said,
And
just
I have one more question.
okay.
as
You
well.
go first, and I'll go last.
Okay. He mentioned the documentary, and it's a great documentary. It shows Steven going back in San Diego and into his old home and everything, and you have some appearances in that documentary as well. I think you're sitting at the whiskey or something like that. But
Neely from the Classic Metal Show.
Yes.
Hail and kill.
right. So they mention in the documentary about the battles that Steven had to go through, and he basically, lays it out that he had to do all this, and he had kept everything secretly about having cancer, and he'd gone through the doctors and everything was fine, and everything was up and up at that point. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, all these music news sites come out with the headline: Steven Pearcy, battles
dire news.
battles cancer and all this stuff, like it's just fresh news, and it's something that he went through a while back.
Right, that he had recovered. Scary times, though. I mean, hearing that was pretty devastating.
Yeah.
Take us through that.
Yeah, that was a couple years back, and it was just like a call you don't want to get, you know what I mean? And of course you think the worst, but the guy is like one of the most resilient men I've ever met. As far as like, this guy partied so hard in the 80s, you have no idea, like going all through the 90s. But he's like a piece of leather or something, It's like he could take it, and he's also, it has a lot of healthy aspects to his life that people don't probably realize, that he really eats really well. He doesn't eat a lot, but what he does eat is like more organic foods. He doesn't eat junk food or anything, so
he's probably scared to get a gut like mine.
I know. I eat the worst shit.
Me too.
But, I love to eat and cook and things, and it's but I need to curb that, because we are going to go out and play some more, and I want to look good in my tight jeans.
There you go.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, tell us a little bit. So we talked about the shows you guys have done, and we talked about the one coming up on November 11th. So what does the rest of this year and then next year look like as far as you guys' live shows out there?
Well, I know I have to advance. The first week of December, we have 5 shows happening on the East Coast, which will be like Pennsylvania, a couple of New York, and a Massachusetts gig. These are like upstate New York. So at this point, I'm just hoping that there's no more weird mandates that further hinder musicians, like anything like a mandate regarding domestic flying is going to make that challenging. But if everything holds as is, it looks like starting December 1st, we're going to do one of our dangerous winter tours. So,
wow.
Make sure your lights are on.
Yeah.
Right. You'll be seeing us. Keep our lights on. No, we've done all kinds of stuff like that. We would always do Stephen Pearcy XXX tours or whatever, and they would be like at the worst parts of the country you should be in that time.
Right.
We're dangerous dudes, we don't care.
Living
dangerous but worth the risk.
Fantastic.
Dangerous but worth the risk.
Man, you've given us a lot of great information today, and we want to make sure the people out there watching keep in touch with you. Is the best place for people to kind of follow you, is it on Facebook, or do you have other platforms you prefer?
I know that sounds so lame. It is only Facebook right now, and it's not that I like Facebook. I think that I'm older and I just started giving up on all the other stuff. I was like, I don't want to keep doing this, although I wish there was a platform everybody was flocking to that had nothing to do with those guys, that had the reach that Facebook does. But, I continue to keep it as my mostly just for music. I don't really post my personal thoughts on there, but they can find me just under my name, Erik Ferentinos, and give a follow to me. I know I need to scrub some people off there. So I've been starting to do that, because I do have like close to 5,000 people on there, and some of them I'm not sure if they're even following me, so I have to root out some. But if they send me a thing, I'll check you out and accept you and get a hold of me there. And I'll be posting shows that are coming up.
Please do. We totally appreciate all your time today. I know you're tired. I know how it is the day after a show. You feel like you've been hit by a truck.
Yeah, tell me about that. Do you feel like crap the day after shows? Because I know I do. It's like my neck hurts.
I feel like crap right now.
Like even my fingers and my toes.
My joints. Because I'm a bass player. And my joint, and we're the same age. My joints now, I could feel it like after a few nights of playing right here.
Right. I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little frazzled today.
Yeah.
I just couldn't sleep last night for some reason. Like,
you were excited about talking to us.
Exactly. I'm like, this podcast.
Dude,
Tulsa music stream. Like hotel rooms kind of suck. I think that's the one thing about touring that's kind of a bummer is, especially if you have any kind of allergies or anything like that. But if you have the windows closed, it's a stuffy allergy fest, and it's hard to get the air right in there. You're like, is this going to be the day I get Legionnaire's disease? But we did have a window, but we were right by the freeway, so it was like it was just I just wasn't comfortable there last night. And the funny thing is, I only live like 30 miles away. I could have totally just come home, and I probably should have.
Well, we're gonna.
A little tired, but it was. I am excited to talk to you guys. You're really good people, and I wish the best for the show. I hope I got some new people to follow you today.
I'm sure you did, and we certainly will be watching for all the cool things that are going to be coming out of your camp in the upcoming months. And man, you're such a great guy.
Yeah, very cool.
Go get some rest. You and your kitty just chill out, watch some football. There she is. Yeah, that's right. You don't watch football. Okay, watch something that you enjoy then, and we're going to cut you loose. But we truly appreciate Erik Ferentinos for joining us here on Tulsa Music Stream today. Thanks so much, Erik. You take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Hope
to
You're a cool
see you
dude,
again.
man. I appreciate it.
See you, buddy.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Cool.
There you go.
You know,
Erik
View
Ferentinos.
to a Thrill is a James Bond themed album. You know, with all the titles and all the lyrics and stuff. And you know, it would be interesting to know like what a day in the studio with Stephen Pearcy would be like.
I'll tell you what those are in a little bit.
I'm listening. What a day in the studio with Stephen Pearcy would be like.
Right. You know, just him, how he records, because, I mean, his vocals on both those albums, to me, sounds just as good as a lot of things that he does on any of the rap albums.
You know what's weird with some singers and some bands, you know, they're not like Stephen Pearcy's a very distinct voice and has his own sound, you know, or in other words, he can go out and play solo shows like that and it still kind of sounds like Rat, and you know.
Yes.
So yeah, man, those albums are actually very cool and very Rat sounding because of Stephen's very unique voice. And
I saw an interview with Stephen, and he, you know, Infestation is a really kick-ass Rat album, you know, but you know, because of, you know, Juan wasn't on that album, he just never felt like it was a complete Rat album. But he, you know, after Smash came out and it did very well. I mean, a lot of people thought the album kicked ass and got, you know, critically acclaimed.
Including us. I remember the first time you played it for me. I thought, man, this is great.
And he was saying, you know, if we do another Rat album, it's got to be better than these solo albums that I'm doing. You know, I'm not going to release a Rat album that's not up to par with what I'm now doing solo wise. You know, so you know, it has to, you know, step up its game and be just as good, if not better, than his solo stuff. And that's just how Stephen kind of views a lot of things. You know, he thinks that Rat should always, you know, take superior over anything solo-wise. Or, you know,
it's been his baby for a long, long time, since he was a teenager.
Sure, you got to understand that. But that was a great interview. We really appreciate Erik coming on with us. And as we told you guys at the beginning of the episode, and we've been kind of promoting it this week, this is our last episode in this studio/home, and it's been a wonderful, wonderful ride here. The stream will continue when we get settled into the new place and get everything hooked up. We have to have people come out, like Cox has to come out and get us hooked back up.
You said Cox.
I did. You know, all those people have to come out and get us going again. So there will be streams in the future. We don't have a date for the next one, but just be watching the page. But we thought it would be kind of fun to just go back and look at some screenshots from the very beginning. And I just laughed when I pulled this up. So here's a screenshot. This is episode 1.
Wow.
Totally grainy. You can't even make out our faces. The sunshine is beating through the porch. We've got the fog machine down there.
There's that large crack in the...
There's the crack in the patio that we're saying goodbye to. So this is where it all started more than a year ago. And I interviewed Scott. And I remember after this, we both looked at each other and said, man, that was fun. We're going to keep this going. And, of course, this is when the pandemic lockdown had really set in. And...
Yeah.
And so we kept it rolling, and we're just going to scroll through some different screenshots here. Still grainy, still looking pretty bad, but, you know, we're inside, and this is episode 5, and that was still when it was shot with an iPad.
Wow.
There you are.
There I am.
And I think this was the night that we did Fan Appreciation Night. I think that was when we did the Spot Awards.
Was I hosting or guest there?
I think you were a guest host on Fan Appreciation Night. I think we brought you in as that.
Okay.
And so that was one of the first times you sat in that middle chair. Here's episode 15. Greg's looking somber there, but I think he's just deep in
I was going to
thought.
say I don't look as well there. I don't look as good looking.
You
there.
grew a beard. I don't know what happened, but yeah, there's Greg Kozak. That was the night we talked to David Dover, and that was such a neat interview on episode 15. And then here came Phil Lewis. Wow, that was a fun time when he actually came here physically to the house.
Yeah.
And I remember how nervous we were. And
didn't you say that you had him clean your kitchen?
Right.
I hope. Yeah. He didn't do a great job, but that's okay. But yeah, he came in and had a great time.
Right.
Yeah, we had 91 viewers watching live that night, so that was
Yeah.
a cool deal.
I think it got over 100 at one point, which was cool.
There we were, and this was when you were definitely on the crew because we've got the banner back there.
Yeah. Was he our?
Well, we did Lita Ford and Phil Lewis, and then
Was he the third one?
mhm.
I think he was probably the third national artist, and this was such a great interview as well. He's such a nice guy. Mark,
he was a gentleman for sure.
And then episode 33. Wow. Remember how excited we were this day when we interviewed Rudy Sarzo?
I do. Yeah.
We were so excited. We went out to lunch to celebrate after that show.
At the Mexican restaurant.
And that was a lot of fun. And then we had episode 40. We were missing you that night, but that was when we talked to Billy Sheehan.
I was bummed.
Man, I know. But, you guys can see how things have progressed.
Do you think that we can Photoshop me sitting in that chair?
We can do whatever you want. Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we can do that.
You
But
can
make
do
it really
things.
little, like a really little guy sitting down here.
But let's just do that. So episode 1, lame. Episode 40, Billy Sheehan. So things have come along.
It's quite a progression
That's,
there, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not Billy Sheehan. I can't live up to that.
Well,
I'm sorry that was lame.
And we've had a lot of help with some of these guests too.
Yes,
from,
we have.
Some of our friends and colleagues and acquaintances.
Certainly.
So we thank them for that.
And-
Concert goers,
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure.
Yeah, fairgoers.
Appreciate all the hookups.
go-goers.
We also want to thank our sponsors, DEB, Concerts, Identity Merch, Okie PC, GregShipman.com, and Surviving Rocklahoma. We could not have done what we've done so far without you guys, and we appreciate your support. We appreciate the viewership, and it's Sunday afternoon.
And speaking of viewership, what do you got up there? Holy
Oh,
shit!
hey, shout out.
Hey, make sure you tune in for the new studio too. It's gonna have pyrotechnics and a drum riser and
Elizabeth Talcott, thank you. Michelle Hooper, Tanya Thompson, Darian Six. Wow.
Cool.
Okay. I don't remember him.
I like
is that your
name.
brother?
I think so.
That's cool.
Heather Hartness,
Hartness.
Billy Bristol,
Hi, Heather.
Jennifer Morse, hello, Ben Thomas,
Yes.
Tim Hewitt, Teresa Weber, and Angie Kay,
Nice.
and many others. Thank you guys for tuning in. But
Jamie.
what do we got going?
Well, Jamie has left us a nice comment. We're getting ready to talk about Jamie. Jamie says this show is vital. Keep it going, guys. That is our plan.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a bonehead move to do this on a Sunday afternoon when a lot of folks do watch football and they just want to chill out. But like we always say, we take the national artists when they're available, and people can always catch the replay. And we hope they do. I think most of our viewership does happen on the replays rather than live. So that's a good sign that people are tuning in and checking it out. And we're here just to help promote local and national artists. This stream is about music and our love for music and our appreciation for those who make it and create it. And it's just a good thing to be part of. And
like he was saying, we'll be in a new place and we're gonna do it upright. Try to make it.
We're gonna bring in the biggest stage show ever. So
right,
Yeah.
more room, less elbow
dancers.
Yeah.
Wolfman Jack will be there.
right, it's true.
Cincinnati WKRP.
Yeah,
that crew would be there hosting.
So before we play Jamie's song, what is
Jamie's
this?
crying.
All right, so I collect Beatles albums and I'm obsessed. And in order for me to know what versions I have to read the run out groove on the end right before the label.
Okay.
And these are the carvings that are in Beatles albums that tell you different pressing plants.
Is that right?
So this is an East Coast pressing. That's a Winchester pressing. That's an LA pressing right there. Oh, I forgot one too. Here's another LA.
I wish
one.
our
It's
viewers could see this.
Just
It's
a circle.
fascinating.
I'm obsessed with. I have to read them all the time and try to find out which versions I have. And so this is what's going through my head right now.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Before we play this fantastic song, just both of you give me maybe one or two of your favorite memories of doing the streams here in this place.
we had Jamie Hooper on one time.
Man, we did. He's such a great
And we
guy.
played a song of his then.
My favorite memories are doing it with you guys because it's wonderful to do something you love with your friends.
Agreed. I agree with that.
And then Rudy Sarzo was great for me. That was certain amount of degrees from Randy Rhoads, so that was thrilling.
That was very special. Scott, was Jamie?
Erik Ferentinos, you know.
That's one of your favorites.
The newest one is the best one, right?
Yeah, you know, you always the last thing is always the first on your mind.
Right.
And make sure that you give Jamie Hooper some love when we hear this song. He's a fellow Broken Arrow alum.
Man.
And
let's talk about this song. He sent this to me just a few days ago. I'm not sure he even knew that this was going to be the last stream for a while, but it was such perfect timing because I really wanted something kind of special to end today, and this is it. This song is called When October Comes, and he wrote the song about marrying his wife. They just celebrated their anniversary on October 4th. Happy anniversary,
Happy
guys.
anniversary.
And Ben Thomas, wow, you just put some righteous guitar work on this thing. It is so, oh man, you guys are so talented. I hope you all know how talented you are. And you know, a lot of pop artists now, they all sound cookie cutter. Jamie does not. He has such a unique voice and a unique sound, and I truly love this song, and we're so excited to play it when October comes. So you guys enjoy this song on our way out, and please stay in touch with us on the page on Tulsa Music Stream. We will let you guys know when we're back up and running and who our next guests are. We're not ending, we're just moving.
And one more thing.
Yes.
Next time someone pulls a cat up to the screen, we need to pull our cat up and let them kiss each other.
Your cat has been a regular on the show.
I know.
But it'd be so funny if they got to kiss each other, through
that
the
was
screen.
the
that'd be swell.
His cat was awesome, man. I think he said Callie. Very cool. Anyway, guys, here is this fantastic song. We love you. We thank you for supporting Tulsa Music Stream all these months. Please stick with us as we transition through this move. And when we come back, we'll be in our brand new studio. Stick around. Have a great Sunday. God bless you guys. Thanks for all you do. Tulsa Music Stream, we love you.
See you. Have a good day.
Jamie Hooper, When October Comes. God bless.